Many people ask me, what am I doing, wasting my time and energy to set things right in Auroville for over 6 years? Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. It belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, one must be a willing servitor of the divine. But guess who is the judge of who is the willing servitor of the divine? It is the corrupt in the entry board and the entry service. These are the people who keep the residents of Auroville at ransom so that their corruption is contained and it does not come out in the public domain. So anyone who questions their corruption or questions their way of functioning are quickly removed from the community and are shamed, and fabricated stories are spread about them. This is how these 20-30 people, the elite of Auroville, who have been running the entire nexus for decades, have survived so far. Actually, the power of the resident assembly does not exist because the residents of Auroville live in fear of their housing, of their status in Auroville, and their visas. These corrupt few also blocked the newsletters from Auroville Files to reaching the residents' emails, so that the residents themselves are clueless about the kind of corruption which has been going on for decades by these powerful elite who are in the working groups. The resident assembly is just a group of sheep and shepherds, whereas the shepherds rule them and the sheep are absolutely clueless about what is happening behind their back. So let us find out more how these few have kept everyone at ransom and also hide behind the so-called power of resident assembly and self-governance, fooling the government of India, donors, consulates, and everybody. And this resident assembly. Now, if there is so much of corruption, which is right blaring in front of your faces, it's crystal clear. Why is the resident assembly so silent? I mean, what are the residents thinking? Do they not want their own place to be perfect, or are they scared, or what is their apprehension?
It's the same thing. It's the conformity, it's fear, it's peer pressure. My thinking is that the people... So basically, my thinking is that the wrong kind of people are coming into Auroville. It is people who are not going to question authority. Like I said, they've come to check out of the world, It's like, they can't cope with the real world, so you come over here and you kind of have a nice, peaceful life. Now, in exchange for that nice, peaceful life, you don't ask questions, Because if you start asking questions, your peaceful life goes away. So, I think that's kind of the thing, is that, the people who are coming here are either the people who are going to get involved in the corruption or not question the corruption. Those are the kind of people who are most easily accepted into Auroville, as far as I see. And
And they're sort of against intelligent, critical thinking people who will question it.
Absolutely,
right? Or they remove it.
Yeah. The entry process is geared towards making sure that critical thinkers, honest critical thinkers, are not allowed into Auroville. You might be a critical thinker, as long as you work for the system, you're okay. Yeah.
That's exactly.
It became that because many people just wanted to do their work, it became that the canniest, the greediest, the selfish, they took these positions, and then what again, I feel that many people do not support secretary because they don't really see the reality, So what happened in Auroville since 50 years, it is called private tyranny. So it means a group of people misuse the situation, use the situation. Like if you know that somebody who is so respected in Auroville has more than 30 Benami lands, but many don't know this or they don't care about this. And then, so let's see, if we look at Plato, it's a philosopher, he said the best system of governance is when intelligentsia rules. So the aristocracy, so the smartest, the best, and most crucial thing is the selfless people. So when they work for the good of community, this is the best system in his idea, and nobody has invented any better system anyway since then. Then he said, of course, a very good system is enlightened monarchy, which we had with the mother. But when mother left, of course, we had just anarchy. And mother even said if there would be one being with supramental connection, even the one person could rule Auroville. So actually, theoretically, we could even now have this enlightened monarchy, but I think we do not have people at this level yet. So as we do not have people there, we need to collect our very, very best people. And the main thing is selfless people, who would do things for the community. So if we don't have this aristocracy managing the community life, then the opposite, what Plato also mentions, it's oligarchy, where the rich, the canny, the greedy, they manage, and not for the better of community, but for their own interests or their family, That's what we see, the curse of the family, Not everybody matters, but just my family matters. Like it's in USA, it's oligarchy ruling the whole state.
Okay, now that you're handling archives, do you feel that the history of Auroville has been distorted to a very large extent, that people don't know exactly what transpired during those times, 1973, 1975? I mean, people don't even know the Foundation Act.
Yeah, I think, this is in general in history, people are not that interested in it, and especially in a place like Auroville, people, they don't care, whatever, they've been told things that are convenient to tell, and that's good enough for them. To be truthful, a lot of the people who are coming, like I said, are coming to run away, and they're not interested in investigating, the truth and all that, which is the exact opposite of what they should be in Auroville. They're not interested in investigating the truth and standing up for it, and kind of putting their, sticking their necks out for the truth or anything like that. It's unfortunately the exact opposite that's happening here. Is people are just, okay, fine, it's conformity. It's like a tribe of conformity that exists over here. As long as you conform and you don't cause any trouble, you'll be happy. You can work in the working groups, and you'll get 1 or 2 acres of land, and you can have a nice bungalow to live in. If you have the talent to make money, you can make money and live a nice, good life. India is a cheap place for people to live in. So even if you don't have a lot of money, people from outside can live a nice life over here, much nicer than they live over there. So yeah, but what is this history? There's no need to even think about it, basically. Yeah.
So how can we get out from this situation? Many people knew, let's say, that bad things are happening in Auroville. Let's say not bad, maybe also bad. I don't have many proofs, but let's say unjust things were happening. Okay. So, for example, when we did our list, somebody from entry group came to sign, and very, very long time Aurovillian, actually, like me. And then she said, why this ROR? But I said, through this list, we could find out that many people don't live in Auroville, but have an apartment. Many people have double apartment, whereas hundreds of Aurovillians do not have housing. Then 30% are not working even, having here their nice life, And they said, this is one reason why ROR was useful. And she said, I work in entry group. I know everything. I know all these cases. And, very upset. And then my question was, then why haven't you done anything? If you, and I'm sure many other people, know about these unjust cases. Because, like even in my case, we had no possibility to change anything, zero. The system was so corrupted, in hands of some, that we had no chance. Even, let's say, look, the family was kicked out from the house by guests who come here with a tourist visa because they don't live 6 months, but they still have show their rights on the housing, Whereas if you are not with entry visa, you have no rights for the housing. You are a guest. And so, but they can kick a family with kids out. So again, you see, and we know so many cases like that. We should maybe take them one by one and show to people and say, what is the solution? So why couldn't we do anything? Because in private tyranny, which took the governance of Auroville, only government can help. Because government has the power, it can put rules and regulations, and then it is like this, or you go somewhere else if you don't like these rules. And even as the governing board member Ravi, he said, Tamil Nadu governor, he said, we don't need to invent any rules, just follow what at least mother said. So if mother said work 6 hours per day, why 30% are not working? No?
I heard that they made a hit list, of people that they want to get rid of from Auroville.
Yeah.
And somehow I'm not in Auroville, yet my name is in the list.
Is it? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, mine was in the last, very important, get rid of VikramRam, I don't know what.
Okay.
So, I mean, how can a spiritual community openly, talk about removing X amount of people who do not converge to their ideology or their way of living? Do you think that it is spiritual in any sense? And do you feel that there will be some kind of a protection in future? Because now the government is trying to take action, and of course the secretary, in a way she is shielding the good, people who do good. But what if she leaves and these people, will they go head on trying to eradicate these people? What do you feel about that?
Personally, I think the idea of Auroville is to embrace the opposites and to find some form of synthesis in our action, in our thought, in our work, and then see how we can evolve further. No? So in that sense, and by the way, congratulations for being featured in that. It's not called hit list; it's called waste list. By the way, hit list has still some dignity to it. They didn't find us to be qualified enough to be accorded that dignity. They called us waste. Anyone who is opposing their point of view, and there are, I think, if I'm not wrong, 3-4 types of waste. And I was featured in one of the, I don't know what is called, dangerous waste or nuclear waste or something like that. Hazardous waste, I think. And then there were upcyclable waste, recyclable waste. They used all their vocabulary to kind of create a waste list. I mean, it's, when I first looked at it, I mean, it was just there. It was posted in PTDC, a public space, space where we all go to shop our daily needs. So somebody posted that printout. So what's the point? I mean, when I looked at it, I found it very silly. I mean, childish, juvenile kind of act, right? But then later it got me thinking that it's not that innocent as one may scoff it off in the first go. It has a very wild kind of background to it, it means something, and that meaning is dangerous in my view for idea of India or for Auroville. So I kind of exposed that. I wrote against it. I wrote a scathing piece on, and I kind of compared that with the Nazi kind of ideology where you mark the Jews. The point is that you ostracize them from a society. That's the first point. You mark them out. You ensure that their businesses are not attended to. You ensure their houses are marked so the kids don't play with their kids. It's important to mark them. And then to tell the others in the society, somehow you create a divide. You dehumanize them. And that's very important before you go on to persecute them. So that was done because they were expecting once the secretary goes, then they can kind of take actions towards people like me, for that matter, who has perhaps different point of view.
And me also.
Of course, you're also accorded that respect. And once that happens, then that gives a moral kind of background to their persecution. You see, they play along, they do a lot of things for their audience. They do a lot of things for keeping the morale of their comrades kind of intact. And this was part of that, I guess. So, I mean, as I said, it's silly to an extent. What can they do? It's just make believe. I mean, what can they do? I mean, I'm sorry. At best, they can kind of cripple you from the society. And then if you're not bothered about, if you're not really bothered about social circles like me, I mean, I'm happy that half of them are kind of not pestering me with their small talks. Actually, I'm kind of liking this. So thank you. Okay. And keep away.
I mentioned already before that what is developing here with so-called self-governance, which became oligarchy, is really like a nest of right-wingers, And what is the biggest problem is that they educate the youth in the same way. So even not, let's say not at schools, but if family thinks in this way, if they are extreme liberalists, which is nothing wrong, but live your liberalism elsewhere, then they educate the youth in the same way. And so I don't think that Indian government would want to have a right-wingers nest developing here, And you are right that many good people left also Auroville because of this, So let's say there are some people like me, I was very, very humble, and they said, okay, it's my karma, I have to go through. If you think something is wrong, they tell you, the old respected Aurovilians, oh, it's just your ego, don't project your ideas about Auroville. But I don't project my ideas. I read what Mother said about Auroville, I just want this to happen. So, I mean, it's a bit extreme, but of course, if Indian government maybe didn't pay much attention before because it was just some unimportant thing, this Auroville. But now through Auroville files, I think they could see what is really happening here, and especially this right-winger nest and extreme liberalism. I think the government could and should intervene, and we cannot force them, but it would be a great help for people like us who are collectivists, who want for everybody a better life, not just for oneself.
So what keeps you on the fringes of Auroville and not inside Auroville and yet engaged with Auroville?
Well, first of all, my mind and soul is completely in Auroville. But my body physically cannot be in Auroville because there is threat to life. There was. I won't say now also there isn't. There is. Yeah, that's what. I have to be in the fringes, and there are certain things which you can do only from outside. You cannot, sit in the belly of the beast and fight the beast. So I'm more effective from the outside. But I would love to come in. Maybe one day I will.